Hello there, all you amazing people. We are doing this kind of like what you would call old school. So back in the early days of YouTube, a lot of people be playing gameplay and then we'd be talking about their live tech and stuff that on top of it. So I think why not do that today, because we're also going to talk about something great with the new Mac Mini. We are of course going to talk about the new Mac Mini. So therefore, comment, like, subscribe, all that YouTube jazzle dazzle. Let's get into it. As a lot of people say, I wasted money on the base Mac Mini. Because apparently on the worlds of the internet or the landscape of the internet, everyone has to decide how other people use their money, because what they seem or deem to be wasteful or not needed for them, therefore that's how it goes for the rest of the world. So little Billy Bob, I'm going to tell you this. Until you earn other people's money, until you are supporting other people with your money, if they want to throw money away in the toilets, shove them up someone's anuses for fun, let them do it. You can disagree with their purchases, you may not need it or like it, but they do. So now we got that out of the way, because there's a lot of people on the internet that don't like Apple because it's expensive and stuff like that. And if they had the money, in my humble opinion, they would buy it anyway. They're just basically that they don't work as hard or can figure out how to save up. But I will agree, Apple is expensive. I actually have a little bit of note that we'll get back to when I'm done with this long-ass intro here. So I went with the base model, which is 16 gigabytes. You get the good old 250 gigabyte storage. Why did I go with the base model? I had the previous base model, the M2. It's also a 250 gigabyte hard drive. I have not ran out of storage of it. Does that mean that I just download and install all kind of crazy shit? No, of course I'm going to be a little bit, or you are going to be a little bit more, aware. You don't just download stuff and install and be like, yeah, I'm looking at it like tomorrow, because that's what I do on my Windows machine that has like a terabyte. You can kind of just download and install and look at it later on. You need to be a little bit aware of what you are installing and downloading. And if you do that, it's super difficult to run out of space. However, because a lot of people are going to be angry, I do have a separate, actually I have two separate hard drives. I actually have combined 2 terabyte. I have a gaming hard drive, we go into gaming in a little bit. And then I have like a general storage 1 terabyte hard drive that's in an NVMe, that's in an enclosure, hub kind of thing that I may talk about later on when I've used it a little bit more. So yeah, I am living off SSDs. I'm not just living off, the main hard drive. In the beginning, I was a little bit, this is actually irritating because I'm used to on my Windows machine to live inside the hard drives, the built on storage. But what I noticed now here that I updated, and I have a Mac Mini, not Mac Mini, I have an MacBook Air M1. Me having my gaming libraries and stuff like that, my media libraries on a portable hard drive, means that I can just unmount it from my Mac Mini, plug it into my MacBook Air, and I have the same libraries. It just makes it portable, basically. Makes my gaming and media library portable, which is actually super neat. It's actually like I see that as a benefit now. Do I lose speed? Of course I do. It's not as fast as like an NVMe that you put on your motherboard, and it's faster than Forrest Gump running away from all his bullies. But it's fast enough. You probably won't notice much different in most cases, unless you're like a massive renderer, decompressor, compressor guy or girl or whatever it is. So the storage for me, if you are going the having a separate hard drive kind of thing, is fine. And honestly, even on Windows, I think you should do that. I see a lot of tech YouTubers, they have their testing libraries with games on a separate hard drive because they can port it between computers, and that's where I got the idea from. Let's dive into the good old gaming. I used to game on the base MacBook Air with 8 gigabytes, and we will talk about 8 gigabytes later on, of course, because a lot of people are really up on arms that. And it was an okay, not good gaming rig. I honestly believe that if you don't game other than, maybe Minecraft and stuff like that on your Mac, the Mac Mini with 8 gig was enough for 99% of people. Unless you're a developer, unless you're a gamer. That's it. I did develop on that Mac Mini also. But yeah, of course, the more RAM you have, the better games you can play, because it can allocate more RAM to the game. AKA, it runs better. Also, the graphic card portion of the M4 is upgraded massively from the M2. And as you can see here right now, I'm playing No Man's Sky, almost maxed out, if not maxed out. Almost maxed out. It should, I think, with some shadowing down. And it's hovering about the 60 frames per second with some upscaling, a little bit of upscaling. But it looks really, really neat. No Man's Sky is heavily optimized for the M-Series chipset. It's kind of like best case scenario. And in the beginning, if you actually looked after what's happening on the screen, you would see I was playing in 1440p. Before I recorded this segment here, this voiceover, I was playing No Man's Sky. A lot of games works really, really well, and the more RAM you can afford, the better. I don't need a console anymore. I'm not like a super massive gamer, but I do like to game once in a while, and the games I like to play, I can play on a Mac Mini comfortably. You know, Factorio, Minecraft, No Man's Sky. I can even play Elder Scrolls Online if I want to. World of Warcraft works on it. I had no problem playing World of Warcraft on an 8GB system. It runs even better on this one here. Mostly because of the cores and stuff like that. Again, we got more efficiency cores still for performance core, but we got, 6 efficiency cores, which you can see. I haven't rendered a video yet. I haven't edited a video on it yet, so it'll be interesting to see how that handles out. So gaming, if it's natively supported, optimized, you will have a super good time. Then let's go into a little bit of the finance part of it here. And this is a little bit not like in like current order. Just take it as I came up with the list in my head and wrote the list down. The base Mac Mini, 10-core system, 16GB of RAM, 250 hard drive, is probably the best value PC you can get. I'll say that again. You cannot build a PC with this power for cheaper. You can, of course. There will be crazy deals and you can do it, but you can't get a PC that can play the games the Mac Mini can play with the same power consumption, in the same form factor, for the same price. The graphic card alone costs what a Mac Mini costs. Where it starts to become a little bit more like, okay, now it's not a good deal anymore, is when you start to upgrade, because they still have ridiculously stupid upgrade prices. That's where they get you. They get you to buy the base model or look at the base model like, yeah, $200 more or whatever the fuck it is, get a little bit more storage. And then you might as well get a little bit more RAM. And then or you're like, should I get more RAM? Should I get more storage? And it is still the best value for money. I do wish that the standard was 1 terabyte, honestly. Like that's most people download so much fucking shit they don't use nowadays that 500 and whatever is, like, in my opinion, like the sweet spot. 1 terabyte would be really nice. But you would be hard pressed to find a PC with this power for, everyday power, building it your own. But that means if you go with the base model and you're not like upgrading the RAM or the storage and stuff like that, or even go with the Pro version. This is like the base model. The second you go away from the base model, you start to can compete a little bit, because their upgrade prices for RAM and hard drive space or SSD space is just stupidly fucking expensive. It's not like if you buy the Pro version, you can get 2 base Mac Minis for the same price or something like that. It's just super stupid. Let's go into the whole 8GB versus 16GB. And this is where a lot of people really don't know what they're talking about. It's like, it's so clear distinction between someone that knows their shit versus someone that don't know their shit. And you will get angry, so take out your fucking genitals and swing them over your head in anger right now, because I'm going to anger you. Most people can still live on 8GB today, unless they are a developer. Most people are not developers. This is like 1% of the computer users, unless you're a massive gamer. Most people don't even game on computers anymore. They game on consoles, mobile phones, handheld devices. That's where the market goes. That's how it is. Have to admit it. So therefore, for the average person, even administrators, power users, call them what you will, can live on 8GB. I have a funny little anecdotal story for you here that will really twist your nipples into a fucking massive knot. The main developer at my work have for years used a 4th gen i5 with a 1-stick 8GB of RAM, not even dual channel, developing big heavy fucking Windows applications. You can do a lot with less than you think you can. What you are sacrificing is how fast, the compiling is going to be and stuff like that. And for a lot of people, they don't want to sit and wait 5 minutes, they rather do it in 1 or 2 minutes, which I do understand. But just because it's slower don't mean you can't do it, okay? Get that really, really notched into your brain. Just because it's slow don't mean you can't do it. So if it takes 10 minutes to render a video or compile a program versus 5 minutes, that don't mean you can't render that video or compile that program because, oh my god, RAM or CPU is too low. No, it just means it takes more time. That's all it means. You can still do your work. I have only one time had issues with my system bogged down on 8GB of RAM, and that was me trying to actually crash the system by opening, I think it was like 15 or 30 I think it was closer to 30 Twitch stream chats. And it started to get really slow and buggy. It didn't crash, it got buggy. The second I closed down all those titty streamers and my boner went away, everything was handy dandy again. If you're sitting and doing, operating system kernel level shit or compiling, programs that has billions lines of code and what have you not, we are talking something different. But we have to remember, what you and me are doing, you watching this video right now or listening to it, we are not the norm. We are like the 1%er. We are the ones that are using, abusing, or utilizing computer hardware in a really, 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 really unique and special way. Most people can live comfortably with something that's a fourth of the power that we need, if not even less than that. 8 gig versus 16 gig, a lot of people can live on 8 gig. Of course, 16 gig is like, they should have done this like 5 years ago. When the M1 came out, it should just have been a 16 gig baseline. I will agree with you on that, 100%. But that don't mean you can't live on 8 gig. It just means that 16 is the sweet spot, and I do feel that when I run the system. The memory pressure has gone down. It don't have high blood pressure anymore. It's using less swap file. It's still using swap file, but it's using less of. But it's still utilizing it because some programs are programmed and built to use swap instead of RAM. They just work better that way. So again, know what you're talking about when it comes to RAM. You can't just say more is better, because you can have 216 fucking terabytes of RAM. Some programs, they put stuff into the page file or the swap file or whatever you will call it, because that's how they're built. This is like, we need some temporary storage, it's not super important, let's put it into the swap partition, the page file, call it what you will. Some programs are just made that way. So you can have all the overhead you want. So that's it. I like that they're doing the 16 gigabyte by standard. They should have done that with the M1 series when it came out. Mostly just to shut most people off. But it is nice they're doing it. I, however, still don't think that 16 gigabytes should be the minimum for most people, because a lot of people don't need 16 gigabytes, to be honest. Another thing, this is an interesting one. They are kind of gone into the way of the Mac Studio, where the SSD is attachable. So they have their own proprietary PCB with the die on it, and then you plug it into something that will look a little bit like a Wi-Fi connection on your motherboard, for lack of a better word. We'll see if I can find some videos and show that up here. I think Luke Mignani has one, or DustDude has one I can show you. And DustDude actually managed to upgrade the SSD. And it will not be surprising to me if there will become third-party SSD available that you can plug into your Mac Mini. Or, I think it's only, and also no, I think the MacBook Pros and, the MacBook Pros, I think they have the same connection. And that would be great, because you just need to have, I think it's like unsigned, unused NAND chips put on the PCB. And then you can plug it in and everything is handy dandy. So people are trying to reverse engineer that at the moment, and the future looks great in that aspect. So in a year or maybe 6 months-ish time, maybe less, you could potentially buy a 2 terabyte upgrade for your Mac Mini on, if we are like in the Apple camp, or in the Apple offices, would be called the black market, because it's not been bought by Apple, which would be great. Like, who don't want upgradability? It's amazing. There's just one thing I kind of have to say, to a little bit to play the devil's advocate, and also to angry all the fucking know-it-alls and stuff like that. Having things not soldered onto the motherboard means that there are more connections. So now you have the motherboard PCB, then you have the connection for the SSD, and then you plug the SSD into that connection. That's more points of failure. So you have technically more things that can go wrong versus it being soldered to the motherboard. That also means new tooling. That means it's being more expensive to make. You have to physically make that connection. I know it's like a standard-ish connection, but you still have to make it. It has to, get tested and blah, 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 blah. For Apple, it kind of don't make any sense for them to do it, to be honest, because it drives up the cost and reliability can probably go down. It probably won't, but there's a possibility, versus having it soldered onto the motherboard where it's rigid, it can't fucking get, moved around and stuff like that. I know, don't get angry, I know that these things don't happen often or almost at all, but you have to think Murphy's Law here, people. If something can go wrong, it will go wrong. You potentially gain more reliability, in quotes, for not being able to upgrade. So do you want more upgradability and less reliability? In my opinion, I would go for the upgradability over the reliability if the reliability is not getting too messy. And this is like a method that has been done for fucking years, okay? So I'm not foreseeing that the Mac Mini will have hardware fail or SSD failures because of this connection. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there is now introduced more points of failure, basically. But we also have to acknowledge the Mac Mini is not a system that you run around and throw at your fucking boyfriend or girlfriend if she's too fucking yappy or too hangry, or, you know, angry, or you're not petting her cat too much, or not petting it enough, sorry. It stays in one place and it's not getting fucking jerked around and bumped around unless you were, you know, like doing your happy thing with your hands and hitting the table while you're, you know, yanking the little thing underneath the table. It's more or less, you know, not a concern with vibrations and stuff like that. But on laptops, it could be, you know, again, it's a tested truth and method. So I don't foresee any problems should be happening, but I just want to play devil's advocate a little bit here. And then to the let's piss off the Linux people. Because a lot of people say, why did I go with another Mac Mini? I just had the other one for a year and now I'm getting this one here. And I have said this a lot of times. Mac OS, if you can afford the hardware, is the biggest, and not the biggest, the best blend of Linux and Windows. What do I mean by that? Because a lot of people get confused about that. It's not that I want Linux to become Windows or Windows to become Linux. It's Mac OS supports a lot of software, not gaming, but other software, productivity software, professional software that Linux don't support. And the alternatives are so freaking bad, like super, super bad, that I'd rather fucking circumcise myself with a butter knife than using it, okay? They are that bad. I know a lot of people love alternative and open source, but they are just not fucking up to snuff, okay? They are super bad compared to the good software. Like, they are super bad. I'd rather pay for good software than being like, oh, I'm a free software user and, you know, open source advocate and use crap software. I want to use the best available tool I can get my hands on and or afford, okay? And Mac OS, if you know what you are doing and you know how to do it, is a command line paradise. Can you customize the desktop? No. Well, you can, but not as much. Can you change the desktop environment? No. But that's not you learning your system. That's not you learning about computing. That's not you going nuts in the command line, because that's customization. That's like saying that if you can't change the color of your car, you can't, you know, become a hobbyist mechanic or learn about cars because I can't change the fucking, you know, paint job. Or the color of the seats. I can't take the old seats out and put new in. Therefore, I can't learn the mechanics of this car. It's bullshit. You could do... I will... Again, this is just something I rip out of my ass right now. But you can probably do and learn 95% of the same shit on the macOS command line as you can on the Linux command line. macOS has almost all of the identical tools in the command line that you're using on Linux. You want Vim, it's there. Emac, there. Nano, there. And if you implement Homebrew into your ecosystem, that has most, if not all, of the popular open source programs that you use in the command line. So all your favorite command line thingies that you love under Linux, you can get with macOS. It even have the range of file manager and stuff like that. That is amazing. So you get the backing and of a big corporation that has a mission plan and statement. You may not agree with it, but at least it has a direction. It's not one day going this way, the other day going that way, and then the developers get angry at each other and they forget, and now we have like 10 versions of the same program doing the same thing, aka the Linux world. There's a direction, there's a method to the madness. We may not agree with it, but there's a direction, and that means stability, convenience, and all of those things. And if you want to, you can nerd out harder than or as hard as any other nerd on Linux in the command line. You can do the same on Windows. The OS is not the determining factor of how much you can learn computer science, computer administration, development, etc., etc. It's up to the human. Some OSs makes it a little bit more convenient. Mac OS and Linux makes development way easy and convenient. That don't mean you can't do it on Windows. You just have to deal with path and environment variables and all that fucking shit. You can still do it, okay? Saying you can't do that under Windows means lack of knowledge about Windows, because the vast majority of developers develop on Windows, by the way. Mac OS just gives you that Linux's convenience for anything that's command line and / or development. In my humble opinion, better quality package, better supported package, better documented package, more friendly community, better ways of learning. Windows do the same. They have an amazing avenue for you to learn Windows internals and systems and stuff like that. You just have to go and do it. Now I've pissed off most of the Linux users because they think you can only do computer science and learn when you're using Linux because it teaches you how to use hardware and all that. No, bullshit. You can do that on any OS. Any OS. Some just want you to do it more openly, where others you have to just do it yourself. Open the command line and dive in there. To some extent, the fucking PowerShell are more fucking advanced than Bash is nowadays. Funny enough. If you can afford it, and you're tired of Windows, and you're tired of the fucking anarchy of Linux, the communist Marxism of Linux, the toxicity of Linux, I could go on and on with why you should not use Linux, macOS may be the choice. It's been, after 20-something, 6 years of Linux, 30 years with Windows, I've landed on macOS. Because it gives me the best of both worlds. I am compromising on customizability. I am compromising on credibility. I'm also compromising on supporting a company I don't really like. But I don't really like Microsoft either. And I don't even like most FOSS organizations because they are more into politics than actually making shit. And I don't like that. I don't like my software companies or software organizations to be political activists. That's one of the reasons why I don't like Apple, because they are trying to be political activists. Be a software company. Leave the politics to the politicians. Okay? That's the biggest gripe I have with Apple, is that they're trying too much to be activists. So don't throw that in my face. I know more than you think, okay? I'm not that stupid. But it's a good middle ground. But it do have a high barrier of entry. But here's the thing. Instead of buying a motherboard today, and then the RAM next month, and then the case the month after that, and then the power supply, put those money in a piggy bank. You know, leave them in your bank account. Because at the end, you probably paid more for all those individual components than you would have if you bought a Mac Mini. The only thing is that you can buy those components one after each other, month by month, and therefore it don't seem like it's costing you that much. I used to do the same thing. Graphic card this month, RAM the other month, CPU 1 month, motherboard another month. You get the idea here. With Mac, you pay everything up front. You do it all at once. But then you don't have to do it anymore. So it's like paying little by little over time, or pay everything up front. And if you look at it like that, and if you right now look at how much your computer costs to build, how much the computer you want will cost you to build, that is either the same power as a Mac Mini, or maybe even more powerful, you will spend way more money. And you also have to ask yourself, do I need all of that extra power? If you do virtualization, you may do. If you're a heavy gamer, you may do. But there is a big difference between what I need and what I want. Because most people, they buy in the want category. That's what companies want you to do. That is what marketing want you to do. They want you to buy what you want, not what you need. You don't need Gucci shoes, but you want them because of the status and stuff like that. You don't need a graphic card that can drive your games for 500 FPSs. You need like half of that power, and you'll be satisfied for the same amount of time before you upgrade anyway. Which is a totally other video I should make. Try and learn to look at what do I need? What is the absolute minimum I need? And then buy one tier on top of that. And if you do that, you will save a lot of money. You'll be more happy. You'll get more games, more chicks, more dildos, more Pornhub. You get all of that. And you may figure out that I actually only need a Mac Mini. Or I only need a MacBook Pro. Or I only need a Mac Mini and a console. And when you get to that point, where you are like, what I need and what would make me happy to use versus what everyone else is telling me I need and what I think I need or want because it's flashy and I can brag about it, you are starting to spend less money. Funny enough, I saved money going to macOS or Apple because I'm not continuously upgrading my PC because I want to be on the latest and greatest on PC, so I'm buying every year new graphic cards. I used to upgrade my PC every year, every second year, and already spend on it. With macOS, they upgrade their Mac Mini, I think it's every second year. So $550, I think it is, and $600, that's $300 a year. It's a good deal, dude. Even if you upgrade the RAM or the storage. For 2 years of use, that's a fucking good deal. That's it. See you all later. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.